Aloha family. Have you noticed all the unrest? Because I actually have not. Sorry, but I don't really give much attention to the Matrix anymore. I realized how valuable my own peace of mind is. But just a quick scan through YouTube, you really don't even have to watch the videos. You could just look at the titles and the pictures and you can pretty much tell and decipher what time it is. In the land of the lost, in the lower world, in the ego matrix. So I've got a completely different take as usual on everything, because I literally probably must come from Mars. But let me tell you why you should be happy about all the unrest and all the negative stories that just continually come out down here. Because it's a sure sign that as the ego, I'm going to say dies, even though the ego doesn't die, but just so that this is easier to comprehend. As the ego dies, so does its world of illusion. I suppose we could rephrase that to say, as the ego steps aside for self-realization, the world of illusion dies. And so what you have to realize is that this entire realm was built by ego. And the reason that I know this is true is because humans in general got herded like cattle into a construct called, well, that we call the Matrix. And another good word I've come to realize for the Matrix is just ego. Ego. If you're in ego, you're in the Matrix. And so this realm was built by egos after they successfully psyoped 5% of the people down here into believing and going along with the idea that they were an ego, but they never came out and said it. They never told you what they were doing. They just did it and then sat back and waited and watched to see if you would fall for it. And since everybody fell for it, they never had to say a damn thing about it. All they had to do was go to their bank account and see how much money they had made off of the psyop. And so since our ignorance made them money, they just continued it. And they never planned on letting you in on it. And they knew that you were probably too ignorant to figure it out yourself. Or that you would just be perpetually confused because you would be trying to figure it out but just never be able to. And so all of this deep, unsettled, I'm going to call it spiritual unrest, has been building below the surface. And so now when any of these bigger egos, let's say, the leader egos, start making moves, all the underling egos are ready to go nuts, ready to go insane, because they need to release this spiritual pressure that's building up below the surface, because every damn person down here knows that something nefarious has gone on and that we all got psyoped. But they just don't know how. That's the problem. So that's the beauty of, we've just moved into the age of Aquarius. So that's the beauty. Now you can find out how you got psyoped. Now you can find out what the lies really were. Now you can undo this whole system. And so everybody's putting out negative videos pointing out all the you know, seemingly negative activities with protesters and clashes between this and that, and on and on and on and on and on. And they're painting it as usual in sort of an end of the world, apocalyptic, what have you. But it's great news, and it's wonderful that it's happening. Because if all that was not happening, that would mean business as usual in the Matrix, or business as usual in the ego, which would mean all your fellow brothers and sisters were still as psyoped as they ever were, still as lost and clueless as they ever were, still as egoic as they ever were, and still groveling on their knees, praying so earnestly to their deities and egregors that never, ever, ever do anything to change the situation, because the Creator does not violate free will. This is so simple, but it's been made complex, so we gotta dig through it. We gotta dig for the nuggets of gold between all the mud that they've created. So I wonder how many people, you know, I'd just like to know what percentage of people are actually awake. It'd just be an interesting fact. I mean, there's no way to know this, of course, but it'd just be an interesting fact to know, you know. Are we at like 35% consciousness? Is the collective higher self at 35% consciousness? And do those fractals or people, do they tune out of the egoic lower world, even though we're down here and we live in it and live amongst it? But I mean, how much tuning in do they do? Like you, let's say. I'm assuming that you're awake and that you're conscious and that you've figured out you've been psyoped and now you're undoing all that. So do you spend a lot of time listening to matrix minds present you with information? And these people have no real answers, you know, unless they fall back to the fail-safes, like the egregors and the deities and the belief systems. So in other words, they have to fall back from Aquarius into Pisces in order to give you any kind of a solution, true solution. But that's not a solution. That's not a solution. That's going backwards. That's not living in the present moment. So in the present moment, which is Aquarius, that's the present moment. We're in Aquarius. So from the present moment of Aquarius, what is the answer? Or what is an answer? Or do you completely tune it out and you don't even let it affect you? Like you don't even let it in. And I've learned this for sure, that this is hugely, hugely helpful. And I always call it guarding the mind. Just guarding the mind. Don't let the crap in. And then, you know, if the ping pong doesn't get in your brain to start with, then it can't bounce around for 45 minutes until it finally comes to rest in one of the crevices and cracks. But once you let the ping pong in, it bounces around for a long damn time. And my guess is that those of you that are conscious, that are true, what I would say truly awake, or either self-realized or in the process of self-realizing, you really don't even give much life force currency to the Matrix monkey show or circus that's going on 24/7, where all the egos are caught up and all they can do is talk incessantly about it, but have no true answers. Well, unless, like I just said, they fall back into Pisces, and those are the answers. Those old Piscean beliefs are the answers for them. But see, that's all the ego has. That's all the ego has, is its illusions, its fantasies, its fictions. It has nothing. It has nothing. Why does it have nothing? Because it itself is not real. And so this is hard for people to hear. I got people on Quora that just have no idea how to take me, because I'm very straightforward and I can put a laser right on the problem that your ego does not want to see, because an ego cannot deal with the fact that somebody is point blank telling it you're not real. You never were real. But there is something eternal and powerful and divine within you, and that is real. But that has to be allowed to come forward. And your ego, if it thinks it's real, or if you believe that you're real and you're still that ego persona, you're not going to let that come forward. You're not going to even give me a chance to say to you anything like this. You've already clicked off my video and gone back to the Matrix. That's why people come to my channel and then leave. Some of them. Because how do you take somebody telling you you're not real? But I'm not being mean about it. I'm not being... I have nothing to gain or lose. Well, I guess I do have something to gain. Every single person that comes out of the Matrix and self-realizes and then ascends brings joy to my heart. Why? I have no idea. I don't have no idea, other than I know what it was like for me when I was an ego and completely in delusion, and then coming out of it and processing out of it into this higher state of existence and how wonderful and amazing it is compared to what it was. Going from an illusionary being to an illuminated being. Because now you have purpose. Now life has meaning. Now it all makes sense. Whereas to the ego, it's in la la land. Nothing makes sense, and it certainly doesn't make sense. And go listen to any of them. Go pick an ego out and go listen to it. And eventually you'll realize, holy shit, this doesn't make much sense. This is not making much sense. But what it is doing is filling my mind full of all these words and symbols which turn into confusion. And that confusion turns into disconnection, and the disconnection turns into depression, and the depression turns into bad habits, and bad habits turn into a guilty person, and a guilty person, and you see it just cycles, and it loops upon itself, and it spins its wheels, and it has no traction, and it gets nowhere. So I want us all to get somewhere. And I'm saying we're getting somewhere. Even with all the riots and protests and thises and that's and ups and downs, and you're fighting within your own family circles, and you're fighting within your own friend circles, and you're in fact fighting within your very self yourself. It's all good news. Because it is propelling you and us on to what we're going to become in the age of Aquarius. And I'm going to sum it all up in one word. And first I'm going to let you think of it. Think about it for a second. What is the word? What is the way we could sum it all up with what it is we're becoming as individuals and as the collective in the age of Aquarius? What is it? What could we say in one word that it is that we're becoming? Real, my friends. Real. Wholeness. Until next time.